The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series ready to qualify at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and we return to knockout qualifying. After single car runs at Daytona, 39 cars are at the ready, being pushed into position on pit road for their first round. It is Sprint Cup qualifying, pole qualifying for Sunday's Folds of Honor, Quiktrip 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It has been a beautiful day here. It's been chilly, but boy, it's been sunny. And for these drivers, they've had one practice session to get ready to NASCAR's new lower downforce package. And now we'll see how this goes during qualifying, because we saw drivers, Jeff, running a lot of different lines out on the racetrack in this practice looking for speed.
Yeah, and you'll see that continue in this these 3 rounds of qualifying. This is a tricky racetrack. It's very abrasive. The tires fall off fast, but the grip level with this new lower downforce package is really going to give these drivers something that they're going to have their hands full with, and I can't wait for this qualifying session to watch.
So you have a shorter splitter in the front, you have a lower spoiler in the back, you have other aero changes, and this track was so aero dependent before.
Yeah,
what about now?
A couple of things, Mike. First of all, when you take away that downforce like that and reduce the drag, the car's going to go fast.
Yeah.
It's going to go really fast by itself. Now, what will it do when it gets around its friends? That's something we don't know yet, but I think you're going to see some fast qualifying speeds. And by the way, you might want to get you a sun visor, because I think you'll be looking at the sun headed into turn 1.
Let's have a look at practice speeds. These are the practice times. Kyle Larson, all taped up. He was fastest most of the session, but toward the end of the session, he ran the high line in 1 and 2 and went even faster. We didn't even think he was on a mock qualifying run, but he was fast. He will be a threat for the pole today.
Better AM.
Welcome back to Atlanta. Sprint Cup champ Kyle Busch ready to qualify. A lot of changes in the Sprint Cup Series for 2016 as far as how these cars are configured and how they work in the air. Larry McReynolds.
Yeah, and with the help of the Aerodyne Wind Tunnel and Richard Childress Racing, we were in the wind tunnel last Monday, and it starts with a very shorter front splitter, 1 3/4 inches shorter, plus a narrow radiator pan. And what that does, that creates more front downforce the bigger that splitter. But the big difference also, at the rear of the car, that spoiler is 2.5 inches shorter, and this is the effect on a car that's behind that car, because when you look at the bigger rear spoiler, it has a much bigger wake. So when you look this last year, not as much air attached to the trail car, but if you look at this year, even though the air is still very disturbed, the wake is not as big, and I think we'll have more front downforce on the car with this package that will help the drivability of that car.
I think the one thing that hadn't changed, those are kind of straight line things, you know, the splitter and the spoiler, but the sides of these cars are so huge. I don't think we've lost any side force.
Nope. Let's get down there toward the starting grid and Matt Yoakum.
Kevin Harvick was battling a pretty loose race car in practice, but one of the bigger challenges now, could it be the sun, Kevin, as you head off down into turn 1?
I think there's a lot of challenges. Our car was actually loose in qualifying trim. I was pretty happy with our Jimmy John Chevy in race trim, but qualifying is a little bit different. Not a lot of notes to go off of, so we're going to have to do a few things different from the driver's seat, battle the sun, and a little bit different setup on the car. So all in all, you just drive in there and hope that it turns.
Harvick chasing his second pole here at Atlanta.
And Joey Logano was the pole master last year with 6 poles in total, and it all started right here in Atlanta. A little bit different this time around, though. Different rules package. What are you expecting from this group qualifying?
Typical Atlanta. The track's still going to pick up a lot of speed as the sun goes down, especially throughout qualifying here. The car's going to change quite a bit each run because the tires fall off, but also, like I said, because the sun's going down. And I think we had another fast Shell Penzo Ford coming back here to Atlanta. I'm not sure if it's quite pole material or not. We'll have to wait and see. We made some changes to it to try to make it a little bit better, but it's always fun here to watch. You know, some cars you've seen Larson in practice, and he's up against the wall in 1 and 2. No surprise to see Kyle Larson up there, but and then you see other cars that can go just as fast on the bottom. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, as their sessions go, where everyone kind of migrates to on the racetrack. Will be kind of fun to watch.
You know, if you were your teammate at the pole tonight, that would make Team Penske the winningest for poles here. It would be their 10th pole, and they would surpass the the Wood brothers. That's pretty cool for your boss.
I did not know that, but that would be pretty cool to get, so we'll go for that.
No pressure. Get it done, Joey.
Yeah.
Now, the lineup for qualifying is done by a random draw. Isn't it ironic that Martin Truex, who came within 5 feet of winning the Daytona 500, is lined up right next to Denny Hamlin, who did? Random draw indeed. Here's another look at it. Last lap. Matt Kenseth up to block. Denny Hamlin shoots the gap in the middle. Hamlin's the leader until right about here. Truex forges ahead and 5 feet from the finish line. Right there, Hamlin edges him by just that much.
I don't know. When I look at that again, I think Mark Truex should have just kept hammering that 11 up the hill. Maybe would have slowed him down a little bit.
Well, it's been a week of couldas, wouldas, and shouldas.
Yep.
As Hamlin wins the closest 500 finish in history. First Toyota to win it. Second Daytona 500 win for Joe Gibbs. Dale Jarrett in '93 did it. And he joins Mario Andretti and Cale Yarborough. Mario in a Ford, Cale driving for Junior Johnson.
Hey.
As number
Look,
11 winner.
I think he got him again.
What, at the line?
He got him at the line again. Dadgum.
Jamie.
And Trevor Bayne was just discussing things with his new crew chief this year, Matt Pusha. How are things going so far? I know it's just the second race in, but a lot of changes today alone.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about coming to Atlanta and seeing what we have with our race cars. Obviously, Daytona is a totally different style of racing, but these mile and a halves, this is what we're on majority of the time. We wanted to see this low downforce package that we felt like we were really strong with last year at Kentucky and Darlington, and I think we're kind of picking up where we left off last year with that package. Matt and I seem to be working really well together throughout the practice. We had some speed and qualifying trim, a little bit tight in race trim, but we kind of know where to go tomorrow to make it better. But all in all, I'm really happy with my Advocare Ford and just waiting to see what happens here in qualifying. It's really cool outside. People are going to be laying some fast lap times down, and really surprising to see how fast the lap times are with this low downforce package today.
And your teammate, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., pretty quick earlier as well, so good luck.
Yeah, there were a couple of the faster Fords in that long practice session. When we come back, we'll be close to going green in knockout qualifying. The Harvard Crimson battle Ivy League leading Yale tonight, 7 Eastern, right here on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. If Yale wins the Ivy League Conference, and there's just 4 games to go, they will make it. They'll have an automatic berth to the NCAA tournament, and they will make the tournament for the first time since 1962. Wow. That's a long drought, but nobody. Do you go to Yale to play basketball? Seriously? Some fellas do, and you'll see him in action right here tonight. Kyle Larson getting a little sun visor added to his windshield. That sun is bright down there entering one.
That sun is very bright. When you're carrying 200 miles per hour into turn 1, you want to see every bit of the racetrack that you're going to be, especially here. We talked about moving around this racetrack and running that high groove. If you're going to enter up near that wall, you want to be able to see every square inch of that racetrack if possible.
Jeff, this is one track where I'd like to turn off my my dash, because I don't want to see how fast I'm going into turn 1. Well over 200.
Yeah, we saw Denny Hamlin and Dale Earnhardt Jr. without any added tape on the windshield. Larry, is that something they could add between rounds if need be?
No, I think that right side window has to be open all the time, qualifying, racing, and everything.
The track is open for round 1. Everybody goes out, runs as many laps as they want or as few as they want, and the fastest 24 will advance to round 2.
Mike, I got to believe the fastest cat's going to run 1 lap. And in the next session, 1 lap.
What you can see here is cars on the outside near the grass. They have to continue to roll. Those cars that we saw go down to the inside near the pit wall, they're staging. They're in that position. They can stop there, wait there as long as they want, and sort of see and observe what's going on. Here what the spotters and crew chiefs are talking about time and decide when they want to leave pit road.
All right, Casey Kane, the first car up to speed.
Quickly, Mike, I just looked in the rule book. If you tape it up, it has to be clear tape. You cannot use colored tape. Clear tape only for qualifying.
Okay. Only one of the Gibbs drivers pulled out quickly. That was Carl Edwards. And here's Casey Kane on the clock.
Woo. Already see the back end stepping out all the way out to the wall for 2.
I thought I could hold it wide open, but I'm not so sure.
I thought what Joey Logano and Trevor Bayne talked about, there's a lot of unknowns right now. A lot of these teams and drivers have no clue what this package, what this tire, what these conditions are going to offer to them.
Well, that car, Casey Kane's car, looked mighty loose.
Paul Menard with a new look to his Chevrolet. And he is second to Casey Kane by about a 1/10.
Already finding some interesting things out going on in practice. We typically always see 2-3 tenths of a second faster lap times in qualifying than we do in practice, but already Casey Kane is over a 1/10 slower than what he ran in practice, so throwing a lot of these teams off already.
Kevin Harvick is second. Michael McDowell back behind the wheel of the 95. He drove the 59 at Daytona, is fourth.
Always like sitting down the end of pit road down there. You talk about people waiting, and then you talk about who ran wide open, who ran that corner wide open, and if anybody can or not.
Well, I think under these conditions, Daryl, they might. We talked about this earlier. Maybe they can get through 3 and 4 wide open when the pressures and the tires are all just brand new and cool, and they're not completely up to speed to get off of turn 4 to come to the line. But boy, I'm going to have a hard time seeing these cars be able to run wide open all the way around. As we see Kyle Larson already to the top line, carrying a lot of momentum to the line.
Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott on track. 2 Chevrolets.
And we saw Chase Elliott. He ran that middle lane as he came off of turn 4. So a couple different choices that drivers are taking. You see that sun and the effect that it has.
Yeah.
There's the biggest thing that you have to deal with. You go from sun, bright sun, to shade, and your eyes just cannot adjust that fast to be able to pick up the line and where you want to be on the racetrack.
Well, he was just barely out of the throttle for an instant.
God, Larson is fighting with that thing.
I still think he's going to be pretty happy.
Fastest, 28.89.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good lap compared to what we saw Casey Kane run, some of these others run.
Chase Elliott, 29.30. And here comes Brad Keselowski in his Penske Ford. 5th, 29.29. Ricky Stenhouse was one of the quickest Fords. He is the fastest Ford so far, 3rd at 29.13.
That Larson time is right at 192 miles an hour. If you want to know why he's wiggling all over the track, just try that.
Yeah, and he's really, I mean, everybody seems to be off about a 1/10 from what they ran in practice. So these conditions and in this aerodynamic package is definitely getting their attention.
But Matt, that was quite a lap for Kyle Larson.
Hung on to it much more loose than it was in practice. And Mike, Jeff was talking about battling the sun, and what Larson had his team do, strips of duct tape inside the windshield. One strip actually has a tab on it, so he can pull that off as the sun begins to set. It isn't as much of a challenge for him in round 2 or round 3.
Yeah, while you're headed off into turn 1 there at 200 miles, now reach over and pull that tape off. No big deal.
Just seeing a lot of drivers have issues trying to get, there's a lot of bumps going into turn 1 as well as turn 3, but they're trying to get around those bumps and then get all the way down to the yellow line and hook that yellow line. You're just seeing a lot of drivers, their car really steps out and wiggles as they get to that yellow line.
Yeah, and do it all while you're sun blind. Here is Austin Dillon, second fastest in the number 3, 29.03.
And remember something else. We got to go out 2 more times. So I'm not sure that everybody's giving it all they got in this first go-round. You just want to be able to advance.
Greg Biffle, now 8th, 29.20. Clint Boyer, 11th, 29.48. And A.J. Allmendinger jumps into the top 3. Yeah, Jamie Mack into the top 5.
Allmendinger's been good all day.
You know, Allmendinger ran well here the last time we were here. I think he finished 6th or 7th in this race a year ago.
Hey, Jeff, Daryl just mentioned something, and with you going through this knockout qualifying at a place where the tire give up is so much, you think one reason we're seeing a few drivers kind of wait it out a little bit is to see how fast you really need to run? We saw Jimmy Johnson do it several times, actually bit him a couple of times.
Yeah, you have to be, it's a fine line, and you have to be really careful, but it's a really good point, Larry, because these drivers that have confidence in one of the top teams, they're thinking long term. They're thinking about round 2, round 3. They're thinking about getting the pole, not just how do we advance, and that can bite you. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble if you're too conservative.
Kurt Busch, 28.93, second fastest, just 4/100ths off Kyle Larson. Jamie?
Well, exactly what you guys were just talking about. Kyle Busch in the 18, one of those drivers who wanted to sit back and wait. Why? Because he told his team he wants to wait and see who's in the top 5 and what speeds they're running. So perhaps he's thinking big picture, like Jeff was saying.
Well, it's changing quickly. Martin Truex now 4th, 29.04. Jimmy Johnson 13th, 29.24.
Mike, these times are right in line with what these guys ran in practice. Off maybe a little bit here and there, but pretty much duplicating what they all ran in practice, fast laps.
Tell you, one of those drivers that may have been a little bit too conservative, or maybe the car just wasn't dialed in, was Brad Keselowski, somebody that we expect to contend for the pole here today.
Remember, top 24 advanced to round 2. Here's Carl Edwards, who's had a lot of success at this track, including his first Cup win. And the 34 of rookie Chris Buescher. Coming to the checkered flag, Stenhouse fastest Ford so far. And Buescher 18th with a 29.62.
Carl Edwards on a pretty nice looking lap here, at least as he got into turn 3 there. It's still going to be decent. I think this will get him advanced.
Could be top 5.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, 3rd. 28.96.
Very nice.
For Edwards, fastest Toyota. Here's Denny Hamlin. 9th at a 29.11. And Eric Almirola's Ford.
I think it's
19th.
Interesting. They shut them off as soon as possible and not do put any more pressure on those tires than you have to.
Ryan Blaney in a group of Fords there in 17th.
Yeah, you're right, Darrell. Tire conservation is extremely important. Also, line choice. So I think what you're going to see is, as much that these drivers are struggling trying to keep it on the bottom, you're going to see round 2, they're going to move up the racetrack. And in round 3, they might be at the top at both ends.
I think definitely turn 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You go high.
Ryan Newman on his run. Now, there are 39 cars here for 40 spots, 36 chartered cars and 3 open cars as Ryan Newman finishes his run in 8th place. And we look at Joey Logano. So Sunday we'll have the smallest starting field since September of '96 at North Wilkesboro. Thanks Jeff Gluck of USA Today for digging out that nugget. They had 37 at Wilkesboro, 36 the week before at Martinsville.
Not good.
Big moment for Joey Logano off of turn 2 there.
He's going to have to run another lap now.
And Mike, back to that, it may be the smallest field, but it's probably the highest quality of field and still going to offer some fantastic racing on Sunday.
Jeff, do you
Good
see
point.
what Joey Logano's got? He's got his hands full with this car. I mean,
So he is 21st.
everywhere.
Michael McDowell has been bumped from advancing to round 2. Chris Buescher on the hot seat. Here's Matt Kenseth's Toyota. And Kenseth, 4th quickest, right behind teammate Edwards. That moves Clint Boyer onto the hot seat, 24th.
That Logano run was breathtaking. Woo! Watch this thing.
See Joey start to move up the racetrack, crosses over those seams that we've talked about being slick, and has to turn away from the wall for turn 2, and the back end just steps out. Now here he is going through the bumps in 3 and 4. You can see as he pulls the car down to that yellow line just how that back end wants to step out.
Kyle Busch to the top of the board. Jamie.
You can imagine Joey Logano's response on the radio. Not good. It's really bad. Too bad for the pole sitter last year.
28.68, fastest lap of the weekend right there for Kyle Busch.
Yeah, it's an impressive lap.
Yeah, that's 0.2 quicker than Kyle Larson.
Pole last year was a 28.4. Might get down there to that.
Trevor Baynes Ford, 2nd fastest. Didn't see that coming. 28.85. Nice run.
Great for Trevor. Great for Roush Fenway Racing. They need a boost like this.
Just a little. I'll talk to you in here.
They didn't want to talk too much on the radio. Give us over here something to talk about.
So that bumps Eric Almirola, and it moves Joey Logano onto the hot seat as the last car that would advance.
I think Logano will come in, make a couple of air pressure adjustments, maybe try to make another run, because he's in trouble right there.
He doesn't have a choice. And when you have to make a second run with these tires falling off the way they are and the grip level the way it is, that's only going to have more negative effects as you move forward.
So you see on the right of your screen, that yellow line right there denotes, well, the haves from the have-nots. That's the line between moving on or being bumped out of advancing to the second round. All of these drivers will earn a spot in the race tomorrow.
Both Penske cars are really in trouble. Joey Keselowski is 22nd. Logano's on the bubble right now. Both cars in trouble.
Yeah, Chase Elliott as well. They're pretty far back.
Josh Wise, 31st. Jeffrey Earnhardt, 32nd. Brian Scott, the rookie, times in 7th. He's the second fastest Ford. And that will bump Logano out of round 2, and it moves Chase Elliott to the hot seat. Here's Casey Mears.
Yeah, and that's to 24th spot right there. You see him down a couple tenths on Keselowski.
Mears is in 15th for Casey. That bumps Chase, and it moves Brad Keselowski to the bubble.
Those guys got to go back out. The 2, the 24, the 22, they've got to go back out.
Here's Danica Patrick.
Trying to make a run back to the line to close up that gap, but just not quite enough.
No, 27th, Jeff.
Kurt Busch in his car now. He's looking at a lot of data. They get lap times. There's video that they can see, some live streaming video that they're able to look at inside the car. And maybe even some of these teams might have what we call dartfish, where they can lay over a ghost car on top of other cars and see what kind of lines drivers are running and see where they may be losing a little bit of time versus some others.
Regan Smith, coming off a top 10 at Daytona, is 30th. Here's Michael Annett.
A common occurrence right there coming off of turn 4 for Michael Annett that we're seeing on a lot of these cars, where as they get to the exit of the corner, it's just hard to keep the back end underneath them.
Well, just remember, I mean, the sun is going down, but it's beaming on 3 and 4. That's probably the hottest place on the racetrack right now. The least
Michael
amount of grip.
34th, Cole Witt 36th. 5 minutes, 20 seconds remaining in round 1 of knockout qualifying. Chris Buescher on track, trying to better 29.62 and move up from 32nd spot. Chase Elliott going out. Here's Buescher.
Now, Jeff, Chase Elliott's going back out. Now, I've seen you do this very thing. I've seen you not be very good on your first run. Come in and out, those guys will make a couple little quick adjustments and go back out and pick up a lot.
Yeah, every time you go out, you learn something. We see Chase Elliott now. He's running a much higher line, trying to carry some momentum. That car is still wiggling quite a bit. So it's certainly not 100% to his liking, but he's pushing it really, really hard. I'm really curious to see what he does down here in 1 and 2 if he still commits to the bottom.
Now, Chris Buescher was within 1/100th of a second of his first run. Elliott 29.30. Oops. Now this is to 24th spot.
He was back in the gas, not wide open, but back in the gas much sooner than the run before. But I don't know, the car just doesn't seem to be stable enough for him. The car's still moving a lot. You can see his hands.
Coming down, coming down. He did it.
Oh, he squeaks in.
23rd at a 29.27. That will bump Brad Keselowski out of the top 24 by 2/100ths of a second. Ryan Blaney moves on to the bubble. Matt.
Kurt Busch 4th. Confident, more speed in the race car, equal amount of looseness and tightness in spots, but the team did well. He said snugging it up from the problems they had during practice. Rick Corelli, his spotter, told Kurt exactly the line down in turns 1 and 2, and especially down in 3 and 4, what his brother Kyle ran to set that fast time.
Thanks, Matt. Ryan Blaney is the man on the bubble with 3.5 minutes to go.
When you have less downforce and you hit those bumps in the racetrack, the car is going to move around a little bit more because it's not planted in the racetrack. So you're going to hit those waves, those bumps, and the car is going to wiggle, get loose, cost you speed.
Georgia driver David Reagan on track in the 23, Clint Boyer in the 15, and Joey Logano. You're riding with him.
Logano will pick up a lot.
Yeah, to me, that's what you have to be concerned of if you're on the bubble. You got to be concerned with Keselowski, Logano. There's some solid cars that are outside looking in right now that are more than likely going to go faster.
David Reagan is slower on his second lap. Here comes Boyer to the line trying to beat a 29.48 and does not. He is slower. Now Logano, who is currently 26th.
Not going to do it, I don't believe. No. Wow, I'm shocked by that.
I am too.
I am shocked.
I thought that car would pick up a bunch.
And Eric Almirola runs a little bit quicker but does not advance from 28th spot. Jamie?
And Joey Logano's team did everything that they could. Wedge, track bar, air pressure. They thought for sure they would pick up, but no such luck here. They're slower than they were their fastest time in practice.
The Penske affiliated cars are 24th, 25th, and 26th.
They only got 2 minutes to go here, so they're not going to have enough time, I don't think, to come in Justin and get back out.
Jeffrey Earnhardt right now 39th and trying to improve.
If you didn't think that this season changes we're going to make a significant impact on what we see at the racetrack, that right there just proved it. Wow, I mean, this is a group that has dominated qualifying the past several years.
Now this is interesting. Chase Elliott had 12 minutes between his 2 qualifying runs. He bumped in. Joey Logano had 8 minutes between his runs. He did not.
Could be the difference, just getting those tires cooled down a little bit. Right now, Jimmy Johnson is sitting down here at the end of pit road along with Ryan Blaney, just in case they get knocked out.
Jeffrey Earnhardt picks up a couple of tenths. Here's Matt DiBenedetto, and he is a tenth slower than his first run. Michael Annett coming across with 1:18 to go in round 1.
Mike, even if you're 21st, Ryan Blaney, or 24th, or even if you're Chase Elliott 23rd, just moving on, that's a huge accomplishment. It gives the team a chance to maybe help you make your car a little bit better, get a better starting spot.
Well, here's Keselowski 1 spot away. He is trying to bump his somewhat teammate, Ryan Blaney, in a Penske affiliated car, the Wood brothers. They were 0.5 of a second apart.
Yeah, but he missed
their first run.
He missed the bottom. He got to it, and then he got off of it. He might still do it, though, and it looks like he's going to.
He's in 29.25. Bumps Blaney by 3/100ths, and with less than a minute to go, Elliott is on the bubble.
Run you a good lap.
And that good lap starts as soon as you get off pit road. You start leaving pit road, you're getting up through the gears, you go into turn 3, you want to run this high line and really carry a lot of momentum to that green flag to get the best run you possibly can into turn 1.
Danica Patrick needs to pick up 1/10 of a second to bump back in. She is 27th.
One thing's for sure, watching that lap of Keselowski, he was working extremely hard.
Time has expired on round 1. Here
Blaney's
comes
looking
Blaney.
good.
He's coming good.
Once time runs out, you can pass the start finish line once.
Big wiggle.
She stepped out.
Will he make it?
Yeah.
He did it.
All right.
Ryan Blaney, 22nd, bumps Chase Elliott
But you got in. Good
out
job.
of the top 24, and that means 2 of those Penske cars will move on to round 2. That was exciting.
And that's just round 1. Ryan Blaney really working hard inside that car. Look at his hands.
Right here, watch this. That's where it got real serious.
And he made it through.
Yeah. Don't lift. Rookies never lift, do they?
Kyle Busch, Trevor Bayne, Kyle Larson are fastest in round 1. Round 2 coming up. Well, qualifying is a sprint. Not quite like this. Not sure what Austin Dillon's up to, but here are the drivers who earned positions 25 through 39 on the starting grid for Sunday's race, led by Chase Elliott, who missed the cut by 2/100ths of a second. Here's Matt.
Looked like he was going to be in, then bumped out right at the end by one of your rookie compadres, Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, it was close, obviously right down there to the end, but we needed to be a good bit faster than that to contend for the top 12 anyway. So just off a little bit than what we were hoping for, but the good news is the long race on Sunday, and we have another day of practice tomorrow, so hopefully try to get things a little better.
Jamie?
Well, Joey Logano, they made some changes before that second lap, and it looked better, but you didn't gain any time. Where do you feel like you guys missed it here?
It's really loose. I don't really understand where. I mean, we weren't super fast in practice, but we were a top 10 car for sure, and just really loose the first run. Made some changes, but it's hard to go faster your second run here when tires wear out so much. And we did go a little faster, but man, just that one kind of hurts. I don't know. We got to figure out. We got a little bit of work to do. It's obviously a new package, and we apparently don't have our heads wrapped around it perfectly yet, but we'll get it. We'll just got to keep our heads on, keep digging. Still a long weekend here. I thought we were pretty good in race trim. We just got to race a little bit from the back now.
All right, Joey will watch his two teammates who are going on to the next round, Mike.
Thank you. Carl Edwards is going to change a tire. It is an approved change, that scuff tire on his car being changed for another scuff. Now, to get that, you have to go and see a NASCAR official and get approval to make any changes.
Yeah, typically if there's a cut or that tire is going down and they prove to NASCAR that it has a leak in it, that it's not going to be able to hold air, they go to a NASCAR official and then they try to replace that tire with something equal to, if at all possible. You know, the teams have been out there practicing today. I'm not sure what he has that would be equal to a one-lap tire that he had on there.
You know, Mike, I was watching Logano on his qualifying lap. Get down on that apron. You see the sparks fly off that splitter? That probably didn't help him too much.
So here are the drivers that are advancing to round 2 of 3 in knockout qualifying. And in round 2, only 12 will advance to the final round and have a chance to run for the pole. All coming up live on FS1 from Atlanta. Welcome back to Atlanta, where 24 drivers move on to round 2. Jamie?
Well, when Carl Edwards came in from his top 5 run in that first round, they discovered that the air pressure in the right front was low. It has a tiny little puncture right here. You can actually feel the air coming out of it. So they found a backup scuff from earlier that has a lap and a half on it. So that's good. The bad news, though, is the new tire is cold. The other 3 are nice and warm.
All right. Thanks, Jamie. Today is active pest control qualifying day at Atlanta. So here they come. Not going to exterminate the track record today as we get out here for round 2.
I'm really curious what NASCAR would have done had they not. So obviously they made a qualifying run in practice, and so they were able to go back to that tire. But had they not done that and they had a long run, would they have had to go on to a tire that had multiple laps on it?
It has to be a scuff for a scuff.
Wow.
No matter, they don't care how many laps, they could not put a sticker brand new tire on there.
Yeah, that would have been devastating. This might not hurt him too bad right here.
You don't reckon it'd help him, do you?
It could.
I'd take
the
a cold
sun
tire
has
anywhere.
dropped a little lower in the sky. It's still going to be right in the driver's eyes as it passes those row of billboards and they roll off into turn 1. The final round, the sun should not be a factor, and the track may cool a bit. Once again, Casey Kane is the first driver on track. 24 cars, 12 will advance to the final round.
I thought Casey looked pretty good there. He hooked that yellow line just right. Car was wiggling, but not as much as we've seen some others.
29.05 for Kane, 29.09 for Kevin Harvick.
Almost the exact same lap that Casey Kane ran in round 1.
29.13 for Matt Kenseth.
That's encouraging for Casey Kane to go back out a second time, run a very similar lap time. That's good stuff.
Now Kenseth dropped about 14 100ths from session 1 to session 2.
You see Kurt Busch using that high line down in 1 and 2. We saw this with Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson. Then they'll usually come back down to the bottom and try to hook that yellow line down here in 3 and 4. This is a good looking lap right here.
I like this lap. Smooth up off the corner.
It's going to go to P1 here.
Kurt Busch fastest 28.93. That is exactly what he ran in session 1.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's
to the thousandth.
That's pretty cool. that they can back that up that way.
And I think that's going to be crucial. To be able to pick up speed with these conditions and the tires falling off is going to be really, really difficult. Even though the sun's going down, then the track temperature might get cooler. I think it's going to be really hard to pick up any speed. So if you're backing your time up, I think that's like a win.
A.J. Allmendinger and Martin Truex out there, a Chevy and a Toyota.
Oh, A.J.
the dinger.
And we saw something.
Nope, he's fifth, 29.39. He fell off 0.3.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for AJ. We saw some. We're already talking about all the challenges that this racetrack and these conditions and this package, aero package, are presenting. As we see Martin Truex Jr. go through the bumps there in turn 3, try to hook that yellow line, but didn't quite make it. We see him lose the nose a little bit. He's a little bit tight in the middle. Comes out to the wall. He's going to have a pretty solid lap right here, though.
Second, 29.02. That is 2/100ths quicker than he ran in the first round. Here's Denny Hamlin.
Sound like Truex hardly got out of the throttle, maybe feathered it, but he really got through 3 and 4 well.
And we see something very, very similar. What I was going to talk about is one of the other challenges here is you'll see some of these drivers will go down into turn 3. Well, some cars have already made their lap and they're going slow. Well, when you want to hook that yellow line and you've got a car blocking your vision to get to it, it really makes it challenging to hit your mark the way you want.
Denny Hamlin, 29.12, backed up his first round. He's fifth. Here comes Kyle with a green light.
He had the dust flying down in 1 and 2, baby.
He was up top, wasn't he?
High, wide, and handsome.
Not going to happen. He is third with a 29.03. That's a big drop off, 3.5 from round 1.
I'm almost wondering if he didn't get too high down in 1 and 2. He might be able to adjust if he makes it to round 2. Might be able to adjust and get it back.
Hey, Austin Dillon, second fastest,
wow.
28.94. He sped up. He picked up 1/10 from round 1. Jamie Mack, top of the chart, 28.90.
I love it when a car's sliding sideways all the way out to the wall, and he never checks up and carries that momentum to the start-finish line.
He gained 2/10 over round 1.
They made some great adjustments.
Yes, they did. Carl Edwards.
I think, you know, you make that first run, and if you come in and you're a little loose or whatever, you can adjust the track bar a little bit, or air pressure, big deal air pressure.
Edwards fourth, 28.95.
Incredible how tight this round is. Everybody's tuned up their cars, made adjustments.
Ricky Stenhouse eighth. Now A.J. Allmendinger's on the bubble in 12th place. Trevor Bayne will knock him off there. 10th for Bayne, 29.11. And now Kenseth's on the bubble.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise seeing Hamlin and Kenseth right there in 11th and 12th.
But what a nice run for the Roush cars this weekend. Stenhouse 8th, Blaine 10th.
This is the one I want to see right here. Kyle Larson, we knew he was going to be exciting here in Atlanta, and he's on it. He knows this is a great opportunity for him. Here he is coming up to speed. Wow, that is a huge slide. That is not what you want to feel in your race car as you're coming to get the green flag.
He is slow, 13th. He does not make the top dozen. Great run for Jamie Mack, but is there some concern there?
I just hope I didn't hurt the right rear tire off 4. I slid for a long way, like, I'm nervous.
That was Jamie McMurray. Here's Brian Scott.
You're going to hurt the tires every time you go out on them. They're going to start squealing and get the, you know, you hurt them every time you run them, but you just, you know, you got to suck it up for this next run.
Ty Dillon 13th, Brian Scott 10th.
That's what I love about 3-round qualifying here at a place like this. It's so abrasive where it's so hard to manage those tires.
5th for Ryan Newman, 29.01.
But you know what I like, Jeff? I always think about qualifying one lap. And every time you get done, you say, man, if I could just do that over. Well, guess what? You get a couple of shots here.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. will get another shot. He is 15th. Right now, Trevor Bayne is on the bubble in 12th. Here comes Casey Mears. of 24 drivers have made one lap in round 2.
Be a little concerned if I was Casey Mears as close as he was. I know he wasn't getting a draft or anything off of Paul Menard ahead of him, but even the distraction of that car being out there ahead of you, let alone a little bit of air that maybe could disturb your car. You don't want to have anything that could affect your lap.
You don't think having a car ahead of you a little bit and getting that little bit of draft off to them might help you a little bit, or you think it hurts you more than it helps?
I think it would hurt you more than it would help you. It'd be nice to get that little bit of a toe on the straightaway, and then if they just pulled off as you got to the corner, then it'd be great.
Get out of my way.
All right, 15th for Mears. Paul Menard and Greg Biffle on the clock, along with Jimmy Johnson. 15th for Biffle. No advance. Here's Jimmy trying to break into the top 12, and no, 19th. Jamie.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. down in 17th. In the one and only practice earlier today, he was lacking front grip. That's all he talked about. Same deal here. He said his front tires felt like they were going in opposite directions. They have a little bit of head scratching going on in the 88 cam.
And they will not make a second run.
Yeah, he's done.
Paul Menard 21st. Here's Brad Keselowski.
He's up in that high groove. I like that groove. You avoid the bumps, and if your car is loose, it could be very helpful to get up there a little higher, drive around those bumps. We saw Kyle Busch run kind of the middle of the racetrack to the upper part of the track.
And, you know, we talked with Joey Logano and his struggles, and it looks like the struggles continue even for Brad Keselowski here, even though he made a nice run there through the bottom of turns 3 and 4.
Now remember, he made 2 runs in round 1. So Keselowski, with an extra lap or 2 on his tires, is 18th. Matt Kenseth on the clock, trying to break into the top dozen. It's going to take 29.110 to break into the top 12.
Saw Ryan Blaney go green going into turn 1. He carried a lot of speed into turn 1. Right there, the right rear just stepped out as he's trying to get wide open off of turn 2.
Yeah, folks, every time the car wiggles, it just kills a little speed. It's hundreds of seconds, but it kills a little speed.
Kenseth 14th. Ryan Blaney trying to move on. Trevor Bayne holds the hot seat.
I believe this is Allmendinger's second time out in this round.
Blaney 24th. Here's the dinger.
Hey guys, I look at our top 12 right now. 8 of them ran faster this round than they did in round 1. So obviously they made their car better. Maybe a couple of them saving a little something.
I think they are, Larry.
Kyle Larson out for another run. The driver at the top of that board is Trevor Bayne. That's who you have to beat to move into the top 12.
And I just think there's just too little time between Larson's last run and this run. I just don't think that the tires have it in them.
All right, the 10-minute session is over. These cars will come to the line. This lap will count.
Sound like Hammond maybe bottomed out.
Yeah,
he
had a big moment right there. He got into turn 3 and bottomed out into the bumps, and then sent the car up the racetrack, and he knew that his time was pretty much done at that point. He wasn't going to improve.
Jack Roush there, he's got to be feeling pretty good. He's got two cars in the top 12 today.
And the Daytona 500 winner, Denny Hamlin, will miss advancing by 1/100th. Indeed, good day so far for Jack Roush, the cat in the hat. Getting ready for round 3 of knockout qualifying. Here are the drivers who, in round 2, earned starting positions 13 through 24 in Sunday's race. Thought sure Kyle Larson would make it into the top dozen. Didn't happen. Trouble getting up to on that get up to speed lap.
Jimmy Johnson.
So those drivers are locked in. Jamie.
And Ty Dillon in the 14, subbing for Tony Stewart, who's out with an injury. It's good to see you in the 14. You're starting 19th. How's the day going so far?
It just keeps getting better. Every time I've gotten in this Bass Pro 14, Mike and the guys have made it better and better for me, and it's made it easier for me to kind of cut out the learning curve here. So I'm happy where we qualified. It's nice to make it in the second round, and I might have messed up a little bit and wanted to and kind of fudged our lap a little bit, but I can't thank Tony and everybody at Stewart Haas enough for giving me the opportunity to come out here and do this. This has been an awesome day so far. We got 2 more days to go, so hopefully we just continue on this trend of getting better every time we're on the racetrack, and we'll be up there by the end of it.
All right, I know he's going to be watching his brother now in the 3 car going for the pole in the final round.
That's right. Third fastest in round 2 was his older brother Austin. 6 Chevys, 3 Toyotas, and 3 Fords will run for the pole. None of those Fords belonging to Team Penske. And of the Toyotas, 2 Gibbs cars and Martin Truex. An interesting group here about the battle for the pole. It is sundown at Atlanta. Thank goodness that sun was in our eyes as well as the drivers. Keep an eye on the number 5 of Kasey Kahne, because in the first 2 rounds he has rocketed out of his pit stall and been the first car on track to take time. He's the only Hendrick car to transfer to the final round, and he was 8th fastest in round 2. Track's open. Kahne is waiting. Here comes the 3, the 4, the 41, the 78, and more.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're going to launch out of their pit stall, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to launch out on the racetrack, except for Kevin Harvick decides to go ahead and
why not
get him a lap in. You know, everybody has different ways of going. Wow, he about spun out right there, just leaving pit road.
We had a truck do that in practice. A truck came off pit road, grabbed second gear, spun right up in front of the field earlier today without incident. Here's another look.
But this just shows you getting up to speed is just as important a part of this qualifying session. He goes up onto that outer part of the apron, and when he crosses over, that transition in the grip level of the car just steps sideways. That looked really small from up here, but it was big inside.
Matt?
Mike, Harvick felt like his first 2 runs today, the rounds, he gave up most coming to the green. We'll see if they've improved on that for this final round.
I don't know, Matt, that coming out of the pits, that didn't help him any.
He left nothing on the table. Something might have fell off the table.
Yeah.
The dog will get it.
You said sundown, it's now showdown.
Going to see what these guys are going to have to run right here.
29-21. That is a drop off of 7 100ths from round 1.
It's looking pretty good here for Kurt.
12 100ths from round 2. Kurt Busch top of the board. He's going to be tough. 28-93.
93, 93, 93. That is impressive.
That's pretty awesome. Ricky Stenhouse, second fastest, 29-13 or 29-20.
Now, I think it's going to be really hard to beat Kurt Busch in that 41.
That's impressive.
That is impressive.
From where these guys have been.
Oh, yeah, the Roush Fenway cars, I tell you what, big round of applause for them. What a huge boost this is going to be for their organization.
Ricky Stenhouse and Trevor Bayne in the final round. Here's Martin Truex.
See Truex leaving his shield up. He had a dark shield for that sun that was in his eyes, and so he just chose, instead of putting something on the windshield like tape like some of the other drivers, I'm just going to pull my visor up when the sun goes down. I like that. We can see his eyes, see how focused he is, and how intense things are inside that car. As you see him go right up against the edge of that black and the gray line, and what that is, that's just where the rubber's laid down on the racetrack. There's a little bit of grip right there at the edge. You don't want to get too far over it. We've seen these cars start throwing dust up in the air like Kyle Busch did. Whoa!
Yeah.
As we see Mark Truex Jr. as he gets down to that yellow line, the back of the car just started to rotate.
Good through 1 and 2, but when the heat gets in the tires, that's when the tires give up the most down here in 3 and 4.
And Truex is 4th, 29-27, a quarter-second drop off. Ryan Newman, second fastest in his RCR Chevy, 29-18. And Trevor Bayne, his Ford, now second.
Great
29-18 with a 1. Newman, 29-18 with a 5.
Good for Trevor Bayne and everybody there at Roush Fenway Racing. Good job to them. And Newman, he's always such a solid qualifier. The guy always steps up when it comes to qualifying.
This is a good track for Trevor Bayne.
Good lap here for Carl Edwards so far.
Last couple of years here.
Kyle Busch trying to knock his older brother off the pole.
He's got it by a little bit right now.
A low 28.93 to do it.
Lost it a little bit there in the middle, but he's coming back up off of turn 4.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Oh, he feels it. He feels it.
Did it. 28.92 for Kyle Busch.
Come on, baby.
Little sibling rivalry. We're gonna
Jamie
really
Mack
get going.
is third, 29.15 for McMurray.
He's smiling.
There is a bit of a rivalry there between those two.
Ricky Stenhouse now 6th. Here is Brian Scott in the 3rd Ford. This one from Richard Petty Motorsports to make the top dozen. Austin Dillon and Kasey Kahne have yet to run. Here's Dillon. Kasey Kahne on the clock as well. Brian Scott 10th, 29.39.
That looked good.
Yeah, he lost a little bit, middle of 3 and 4 off
very stable
to the line, but yeah, pretty solid.
Dillon is 9th, and here's Kahne.
Oh, you can see him just trying to hook that yellow line, and he hit the bumps. Oh, whoa. Got up wide, got sideways. Going to lose a lot of time there.
Yeah.
12th.
Hey, man, good job.
He tried.
Yeah, he was trying hard.
He was trying hard.
And time will expire. Kyle Busch, Sprint Cup champion, has won the Coors Light pole. And here's the man he knocked off the top spot, older brother Kurt.
I really didn't think anybody was going to beat Kurt. That was a heck of a lap. But, boy, Kyle, great job with that team.
Matt?
Mike, about 10 years ago, Kurt Busch called it ludicrous speed here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's so fast. Today, though, I think it's Mr. Consistency. Impressive all 3 rounds.
It was a good, consistent car, and I hope that translates into race speed as well. But thanks to Tony Gibson and everybody at Stewart-Haas, it's a matter of preparing the best car during the off-season to come to these mile-and-a-halfs early and seeing what you got. So Monster Energy's on the hood, Haas Automation. It's just great to feel this right away with the speed and the energy from the car.
Every day you try to build towards Sunday. Today a great building block for Sunday, especially with the communication throughout practice and in the 3 rounds.
That's what I was congratulating the guys on is, we go through Daytona and it's 10 days of trying to find a little bit of speed here or there. And then boom, today you got to do everything in 80 minutes. And so it's great to see our team in a nice rhythm already. And we'll just try to capitalize on beating that 18. He got us just by a little bit. And I know I was a little bit tight out there on both ends of the racetrack. And so I'll ask Gibson and the guys what we can do to fix that and dial her in for 500 miles.
We'll roll off second on Sunday. Jamie?
Well, Kyle Busch hasn't raced here in 2 years in the Cup Series, missed last year, and this is your first pole. And of all people to bump at the end, it's your own brother. How good does this one feel?
It feels really good. Just real proud of all these guys and this whole M&M's team. They gave me a really fast Camry, everyone at Joe Gibbs Racing, TRD. Great engines, obviously. So, this is a place that's a lot of fun for the drivers and a lot of hard times that you kind of have being able to get grip here and to work with your crew chief as well as you can and to be able to get a good starting spot for Sunday. That helps. Good pit selection, obviously, but 500 miles here is entirely different than one fast lap around Atlanta. So we'll take what we got.
Yeah, and speaking of that, with the new rules package, it's going to be interesting. That shook things up in qualifying. But tomorrow, next practice, what are you guys focused on?
You got to focus on long runs. You got to have takeoff speed, but you also have to have long run speed. You can't have your tires fall off too quickly. So this place is tricky, though. You can find yourself in a box and dial yourself out pretty easy. So we don't want to do that. Adam and these guys are really smart. They've done a great job for me last year, obviously, and then of course starting off this year real well at an open track. That's what we call these places. So excited to have the speed that we do right now. Again, thanks to Joe Gibbs Racing, all these guys. So pumped about it, and well, hopefully it'll stick. After 500 miles on Sunday.
All right, defending series champion Kyle Busch on pole for Sunday's race.
He becomes the 50th driver to win a pole at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's the 18th of his career. And the Busch brothers will start up front on Sunday. This will be the 3rd time the Busch brothers have shared the front row, all on mile-and-a-half tracks, previously at Texas and at Las Vegas. Kyle won both of those races from the pole. An omen or Sunday? We'll see.
Mike, you love beating everybody, but you really love beating your older brother.
All right, so he won his 18th career pole in car number 18 in his 18th Atlanta start. And hey, smoke show in Atlanta.
Oh, that's awesome to see him at the racetrack.
I love that.
And a great opportunity for young Ty Dillon there on the right to be able to drive that race car of Tony Stewart's.
All right, let's hear from the 3rd starter for Sunday's race, Jamie.
Well, in the second round, Jamie McMurray was fastest, and when it all shook out, your 3rd. Very good speed by you guys. What are you expecting now as we look forward to the race?
Well, I'm really proud of everyone at our shop. I mean, when you come to a mile-and-a-half track, you're really dependent on your car, and mile-and-a-half program last year wasn't where it needed to be. They put a lot of effort into it, and I said during Speed Weeks and all the off-season media that this is where you really need to be good. And 42 car was fastest in practice. He got really loose, it looked like, on his qualifying laps, but then we were really good as well. So I'm proud of the effort of everybody on the McDonald's Chevrolet. We're off to a good start at mile-and-a-half tracks, which is critical.
Thanks, Jamie.
29.09, 28.90, and a 29.15. And what do we have here?
Well,
is that victory circle there?
Well, the haulers are all parked. This is
somebody's having some fun. I love it. I love it. This reminds me of what my kids do at home.
Oh, look, the 14, a couple cars are spun out there. Oh, gosh. Let's take a ride with Kevin Harvick in round 3.
Yeah, if you want to get an idea of what it's like inside the car. Now, they have to do this for 500 miles on Sunday, but in qualifying, you're pushing it to the limits. On the edge, we see as Kevin Harvick goes to the high side, you got to really put it up against the wall there, and you can see his hands really working. And the intensity, I feel it certainly by watching this. It's as if he's just gripping that steering wheel so tight, trying to hold it on that line that he wants, and try not to let the back end step out. And he's just working those front tires the entire time through these long corners here at Atlanta to put that kind of a lap down.
You know, every muscle in your body is tense. I mean, that's what makes it so tiring, is your arms are tensed up. Your legs, you're even holding with your legs, holding yourself in this position with your legs. Everything is working.
Kyle Busch celebrates his pole win in Atlanta. Tomorrow on FS1, the NASCAR Xfinity Series will be racing at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And then we'll have the Folds of Honor Quiktrip 500 presented by Coca-Cola on Fox. Sunday coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern. Big weekend for wheels in Atlanta, including Monster Energy Supercross tomorrow night, 7 Eastern Time. A bunch of NASCAR drivers going to be there. Jeff, you going?
I am going to go. I'm looking forward to it. I love Supercross.
Yes, we do. That'll be on FS1 tomorrow night. Matt?
Martin Truex Jr. will start 10th on Sunday. So when you break this down with you and your team in Cole Pearn, where do you feel like you could have improved?
There's a lot of stuff we could have improved there. I didn't think, I thought we made a good improvement from the first round to the second round to back up our speed, and then the third round we made a few more changes and went the wrong way. So car was quite a handful that last run, just sliding, not much tire left. So it's this place is tough to run 3 laps or 3 runs on tires and expect to back up those speeds. So we just missed it a little bit there at the end, but all in all, a good day. This is a lot of new parts and pieces for us today. First time on a downforce track with our Toyotas. So all in all, I think it was a good day. Wish we'd have qualified a little bit better, but it's pretty easy to pass here. So we'll just have to work hard tomorrow and make sure we get our car good for Sunday.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Well, Trevor Bayne's previous best start here was 29th. You blew that out of the water. You're starting 5th. Everybody's suddenly looking at the Roush Fenway cars. You surprised a lot of people. Are you surprised?
I am. It's a pleasant surprise. We've worked really hard towards it. It's not a surprise because of the effort they've put in, but a surprise because we came here hoping for a top 15 starting spot. But man, I'm actually blown away by this. It's really good for our group of guys to get some momentum going. And like we talked about before qualifying, I thought I had a good car, but I didn't know I'd go to P2 on the first run and end up 4th today at the end of it. So really excited with that, and we'll keep working towards it.
Should we count these Roush Fenway cars in there in the top 10, perhaps a win on Sunday?
I think you can at this point. It looks like we've got some speed. Now we got to make it last. Talked about how my car was tight, so we got to make sure the right front tire stays on it, and it'd be nice to see that Advocare Ford in victory lane.
Trevor Bayne, top 5 start.
When it comes to speed on pole day, Ryan Newman is usually there. So what do you take away from this qualifying effort today? 5th fastest.
I mean, it's a little bit of a litmus test to kind of let us figure out where we are, where we stack up compared to last spring here, as well as throughout the offseason. But a good run for our Caterpillar Chevrolet. Would have liked to have won the pole and broke a record with my old pal Buddy Baker. But, I hopefully can wait again for another year and have another shot at it. But I think we were 5th here last year, something like that. So it was, a good backup test for us to kind of see where we shake up.
When you look at tomorrow, what are some areas you want to focus on for Sunday?
Just drivability, making sure it drives good. I mean, it's going to be a tire management race, no doubt, and making sure that your car drives good and keeping control of your feet and your hands is going to be a big part of it. So you got to have a fast race car, don't get me wrong, but it's got to drive good, really good here.
Good luck Sunday. Ryan Newman will start 5th.
And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. qualified 6th, part of that Roush Fenway contingent. Everybody seems to be pretty darn pumped up. You had a chance.
I messed up that lap a little bit, so really happy with the speed in it. Race trim, I felt really good. I got to get my car working on the bottom a little bit better. Wasn't working on the bottom as well as I needed it to, that I know it needs to in the race. So we'll work on that tomorrow. We got some changes that we're going to make, but with the slow downforce, I think the top's going to come back in. Over the last I don't know, 3 races, I think the bottom's been the dominant line, but I think with the lower downforce, the softer tires, I think moving around is going to be an option come Sunday. So we'll do that as well tomorrow.
So, Ricky, we know your true love is dirt bikes, really. Let's face it. You get to go back to your roots tomorrow night. Supercross is in Atlanta. It's going to be on FS1 at 7 o'clock. But you're not just going to watch. Tell us what you're doing.
It actually, you know, I was on a dirt bike before I started racing go-karts, so I guess it kind of was my first true love. But yeah, we're going up tomorrow night, and I think Greg Biffle, Clint Boyer, Ty Dillon, and myself are going to do a whole shot, you know, start behind the gate, drop the gate, and race to the end. So it'll be fun. I've never really done a start like that with a gate drop. I did run some arena cross races, but I started on the back row. I wasn't fast enough. So we'll see how it goes. It should be fun. I was out at the track yesterday watching press day and, you know, watching them do their starts, and they were practicing around. So the KTM boys should have my bike tuned up. It'll be a lot of fun. I hope a lot of people watch it and come out and see it.
Yeah, you've never done a whole shot like that, or in front of like 70,000 people. Don't get hurt. Jack will be mad.
Yeah.
I think that's 2 of them that are excited about Supercross tomorrow night. Big race weekend here in Atlanta. Supercross and NASCAR in town. We'll be back and give you a look at the starting lineup for Sunday's race.